P.O.L. Game Review.
Yo, what up everybody, IntraVenus here with another episode from P.O.L Game Review and P.O.L Music. Today I'm on my 5th part of Spawn action figures collecting from the years 1994 to 1996. I may have a figure or two that came out in 97, but it's very few. I'm really going for 96 and below, basically the first 6 or 7 series. And in this episode, if you don't see in front of me, I have plenty to talk about. So without further ado, let's get into it, guys. Alright guys, so in this episode we have 5 action figures in regular packaging, 2 of which are different color variations, as well as this Medieval Spawn vs. Malebolgia collector's gift set, which includes the Malebolgia figure and Medieval Spawn. Malebolgia was from Series 2 and Medieval Spawn was from Series 1. As you'll see in the close-ups, this is a special edition paint job of at least Medieval Spawn. He's got the black colors with red and silver instead of he usually has like a darkish blue. And I'm still looking into all the color variations of Malebolgia. I do have an individually packed one coming here later this week, and we will do some comparisons in packaging, of course. This is really sick. I don't know if you've ever seen these before. I had not until recently. I could only find a couple online. Honestly, this one didn't come in the best shape. I don't believe the box has ever been opened, but it has been shooken around a bit, and it was quite dusty when I got it. This is really awesome. So, when you got the Medieval Spawn figure in Series 1, which is the last individual figure that I need to get to complete my Series 1 collection, it comes with a comic book. They do not have the comic book in here as far as I can tell. I don't want to open it up any more than it seems to have opened itself on the sides of the packaging, but I believe it's just the Malebolgia figure and Medieval Spawn. This set came out in 1995. The original series came out in 1994. Malebolgia, if you don't know, he is basically Satan. I think he is the devil. I can't remember if there's someone higher than him. I'm pretty sure Malebolgia is the top of the list. And he has these creatures that run for him, his little minions, and they are different types of characters like Violator, Vertebreaker, Vandalizer, I believe, which we have. All of those here. We already talked about Violator in the last one, but I do suggest you guys go and pick these up. They seem to be hard to find. There was actually a really old retail sticker with this that said it was marked down to $11 at some point. Probably an old KB Toys sticker or something. This is really, really cool. Close-ups, you'll see that Medieval Spawn, one of his shoulder pads has rocked off, and it's kind of rattling around on the bottom. I can see it down there. I'm so tempted to open it up and put it back on, but you know how that goes. On the back you'll see it mentions Series 3, Series 2, Series 1, and the first series of Wetworks and Youngblood figures. Very awesome to add that to my collection. So next up, moving on to Series 3, we have Spawn 2. Yes, indeed, Spawn 2 was bigger and badder and more detailed. If you haven't noticed, after the first series of Spawn figures, they started really adding detail and character to all these. The original figures are a little plain in comparison, but that's totally cool. I love them all. Spawn 2 has huge extendable wings that are part of his cape. His cape's pretty beat up. He's got half-burned face, comes with a machine gun, new costume. I believe there is a story behind this. I'm still getting back into reading the comics here, but we can read the back. On the collector's card, the Clip and Collect, which they didn't start adding to the back of these characters to Series 2, just so you know. Spawn 2. As Spawn's enemies have been getting harder to defeat, his costume is mutated into a more ferocious version of itself. As a living symbiote whose job is to protect Spawn, the costume knew it had to become more aggressive and more protective of its owner, letting Spawn use less of his ever-dwindling power supply while in combat. So sick. This came in really good condition. and I was really happy to get it. I got all of these in bundles online on eBay. Spawn 2 was Series 3. Now the only characters I'm missing from this set are the Curse, Violator 2, Ninja Spawn, and Future Spawn, all of which are on their way, believe it or not. So yeah, Spawn 2, really sick. Enjoy that one. And to continue on with Series 3, we've got 2 variations of Vertebreaker. One of these I have featured in one of my first episodes. That's this Vertebreaker. He seems to be painted with the original paint job, the one that's featured on the back. But then we have this one, the special limited edition. And I really think this one looks dope. So much cooler than the other paint job, though they're both dope. Both really cool, awesome, fresh, whatever you want to call it. So from Series 3, this is Vertebreaker, and though I've read it before, let's see again what the Clip and Collect says. Verdebreaker. As one of the Flaviac brothers, Vertebreaker has only one rule in the afterlife: to make sure that his brother Violator doesn't fail in defeating Spawn. Unlike the Violator, Vertebreaker has 4 arms, all of which have a deadly grip and claw-like pinchers. He is one of Malebolgia's most powerful soldiers in the battle between good and evil. So awesome to have this. I really like seeing these variations, and once again, this one's in really good condition. There's no self-opening, rotting, or yellowing of the packaging. Always the best to find that stuff. So yes, Vertebreaker, love it, love it, love it. So from there, we're gonna move on to Series 4. Now, Series 4, this is my first action figure, since I was a kid, that I still have from Series 4. I almost bought Exoskeleton Spawn the other day. I think I'm gonna have to go back and see if it's there. Series 4, we have She-Spawn. Yes, there are many spawns, and the first one was Al Simmons, at least the one I think documented in the comic books. I know there's Medieval Spawn is further back in the timeline, all that stuff. First popular one was Al Simmons as far as main characters following a storyline, and since then there's been a lot. As far as I know, I think they're on like the 3rd or 4th person that is donning the Spawn outfit and role. I believe Al Simmons is long gone. But here we have She-Spawn. In this set, you'll see it has a featured character, the Max, which is from an old HBO TV show, an animated show. I think it was on HBO or MTV. Really awesome, hard to find. The Max is worth quite a bit of money from what I'm seeing. It sells for around $70 before shipping. Also, you have Cygor, Clown 2, Shadowhawk, and Exoskeleton Spawn. It's really cool to have. Let's see what the Clip and Collect has to say for us. She-Spawn. Throughout history, numerous spawns have graced the earth, including female spawns. A talented tracker and warrior, She-Spawn spends all of her time hunting. She stalks both angels and violators, taking them on single-handedly, unlike our hero, Spawn, who takes the more passive approach. So she's pretty, she's a bad girl. Awesome. And I like the paint job here. This is an original paint job. I really want to see what they did with the alternate repaints for this. I haven't seen any yet. But there we have it. She-Spawn from Series 4. This came out in 1996. Now finally, we have one of the newer characters, and the newest for this episode, from Series 5. We have a repaint of Vandalizer. Vandalizer comes in at least 3 different color variations that I've seen. This is the dark gray one. I think it's the coolest looking one. The back, you'll see that it has a light gray Vandalizer. My least favorite color job. There's also one where he has kind of a human tone, peachy color, light skin with different fleshy tones, and that one looks cool too. They also had that. I didn't want to get 2 at the time, trying not to spend too much money, but whatever. So Vandalizer is ready for battle. Yes, Series 5 came out in 1996. They really boomed. These products took off, and I'll be talking about that later in this McFarlane Toys ad / comic They really took off from 1994 to 1996. These were hot, best-selling figures. Like after the first Christmas season, they got so many sales. They just pumped out so many characters, and you can see they had at least 5 series out within a span of 2 years. And I believe they got a couple more out there. In fact, you definitely know that because shows Spawn Series 6 on the back. So here we have the Vandalizer, or rather just Vandalizer, and his clip and collect has this to say. Vandalizer. As one of the Violator's many brothers, Vandalizer was sent to Earth to push and prod the numerous spawns throughout time. Vandalizer's main target was Viking spawn, and his protective armor and weapons reflect that time period. Unlike many of the Vertebreaker brothers, Vandalizer takes on his opponents face to face instead of manipulating them from afar, unlike Violator. So yes, in Series 5, they had Viking spawn. They also had Nuclear spawn, which I have a repaint of. They had Widowmaker, which I have 2 different versions of. At least one's a repaint. It also had Tremor 2 and Overkill 2. I really need to get those last 3, Overkill, Viking Spawn, and Tremor 2 for this series. And now on the back you'll see Series 6, which I do have Sandsker, 2 versions of Tiffany, and that's all. Oh, and Chameleon Spawn too. One thing I really want to note, let me get this. For a long time, they referred to Chameleon Spawn on the back of all these. And I want to know if you're out there and you ever bought a Mutant Spawn that said Chameleon Spawn on it. I want to know if they ever made any, because they repped it as Chameleon Spawn for a long time when in fact it is Mutant Spawn, and eventually they changed it to Mutant Spawn on the listings. Well, this came out in 1996 as well. By the time Series 6 was released, sometime between the beginning of 1996 and the middle of 1996, they changed the name from Chameleon Spawn to Mutant Spawn. This is Mutant Spawn, also known as Chameleon Spawn, Special Edition. I just had to say that. I really want to know what you guys think about that. And so, aside from these characters I have already, I really want Alien Spawn and Battleclad Spawn, and I'll get Super Patriot and the Freak just because I'm not really fond of those characters, just because they're not that cool to me. Also, I've noticed that Total Chaos Series 1 has an Al Simmons character, and that makes me want to go back and look at this comic book. I assume it was from a comic series, or maybe it's just a mixture of characters. Not sure, but as soon as I see Al Simmons in there, now I'm starting to think that Total Chaos is more connected to Spawn than I had originally figured. That is a final figure for this episode. Very good condition as well. This is Vandalizer. I got some of these online. I think I got all these online, but recently I went to a place called Hero Headquarters in Westminster, Colorado, and if you're anywhere near there, I highly suggest it. It is probably the coolest comic book store and retro action figure store that I have ever been to. So on that note, I'm going to bid y'all a farewell. Thank you so much for tuning in to the end of the episode, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please hit the like and subscribe buttons. It really helps me out and keeps the channel going. If you don't like it, that's fine. Hit the dislike, and I will certainly catch you on the next episode. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for tuning in, folks.